Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into a pretty radical philosophy, one that wants to completely flip our entire relationship with money on its head. It's all about shifting from a world that's obsessed with investment to one that's driven purely by joy.
Okay, so let's jump right in with a super provocative idea. The argument here is that the real global conflict, the one that truly matters, isn't fought with tanks and planes, but with dollars and cents. The source even has a name for it: the Third World Money War.
So to really get our heads around this, here's how we'll break it down. First, we're going to look at the problem, how money shapes our world. And then we'll explore the proposed solution, which you'll see involves a huge shift in how we think and how we feel.
Right, so here's the big question. How does money, this thing we use every day to buy coffee and groceries, how does it get turned into a tool for conflict on a massive global scale?
This right here, it maps out a kind of chain reaction, a real domino effect. The argument goes like this. With enough money, you can fund enough propaganda to completely reshape how the public thinks. You can actually turn potential allies into perceived enemies. And when you do that, conflict, even all-out war, suddenly seems not just possible, but maybe even necessary. But this whole thing isn't just about global politics and power plays. The constant chase for more and more wealth has this deep and often pretty negative personal cost, even for the people who look like they've totally won the game. What happens, essentially, is that extreme wealth builds walls. Not just literal walls around mansions, but metaphorical ones too. It creates this bubble that ends up isolating people from the very thing that actually brings happiness: genuine human connection.
And this slide just illustrates that central problem so perfectly. Look, money can buy services, it can definitely buy things, it can even buy a sort of surface-level loyalty. But the things that really truly fulfill us, it can't touch them. And that creates this bizarre kind of poverty right in the middle of all that abundance.
So, if this endless, grinding pursuit of financial profit is the actual problem, what's the alternative? Well, the philosophy says it starts by changing the entire goal of the game.
So this is the crucial point right here. It's this new metric, return on joy. It just completely flips the script. So instead of asking, what's the financial return I'm going to get on this investment, the new question becomes, how much actual, genuine joy is this action going to create in the world?
And you can see the contrast right here. The traditional return on investment model, it's often a competitive zero-sum game, right? For me to win, someone else has to lose. But this idea of return on joy, it's all about creating positive sum outcomes, where shared happiness and connection, those are the real profits. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Think about how this would look in real life. Imagine a radio station, just out of the blue, paying a random listener's unexpected stressful bill live on the air. Or think about an entrepreneur like Elon Musk, who's described in the source not just as an investor throwing money at things, but as someone who's driven by the shared joy of building something incredible with his team. See? It's about participation, not just profit.
Okay, but to make this kind of change in how we use our money out there in the world, we first have to make a really big shift inside ourselves.
And it all boils down to this one simple but incredibly deep question. Because as a society, we've been taught to identify ourselves with all the wrong things.
I mean, think about it. We're taught to believe we are our jobs, we are our thoughts, we are our roles as a parent or a child, but this philosophy reframes all of that. Those are just temporary experiences that are passing through you. They are not the core of who you actually are.
And this is just how incredibly dominant our minds can be. The source claims that a staggering 90% of our thinking is just the same old programming running on a loop. The same old stories, the same old worries, the same old judgments, just playing over and over and over again. And that leads to this really powerful idea. It says that our suffering doesn't come from our circumstances, but from our resistance to those circumstances. So the alternative isn't giving up or being passive. It's a radical, powerful state of acceptance.
So the whole shift is from being stuck up here in the mind, which is always resisting reality and repeating those old destructive patterns, to operating from the heart. A heart-based consciousness accepts what is, and it's from that place of total acceptance that real creativity and real healing can finally begin.
So if we actually make this huge internal shift, what does the world even start to look like? What's the big vision here?
Well, the vision is a return to a true sense of community. It's about people forming new kinds of families, ones based on shared values and a real heart-to-heart connection. You can just imagine it, right? Different generations naturally helping each other out. An older person reading to a child, a younger person helping an elder with their new phone. It's about dissolving this modern epidemic of isolation we're all feeling.
And this quote, which the source says came from a little kid, it just captures the entire philosophy so perfectly. It's this beautiful idea that we aren't all separate little beings fighting each other over scarce resources. We are all interconnected, essential parts of one single collective whole.
Which leaves us with this final, powerful question to just sit with for a moment. If we really, truly started to operate from this belief that we are all one heart, how would our relationship with money, with power, and most importantly with each other, completely and utterly change?